Okay. Uh, my legal name is Caitlin. My personal pronouns are she, her, hers, which I know is probably kind of an odd way to introduce to most people, but I think that it's starting to move that way. I am also a transgender woman. What transgender means is I was assigned male at birth. I never identified as male. I was married for 19 years. I was with the same woman for 25 years. We met in high school. We have 3 kids, which was really a hard thing to do, to try to be a father when I don't know how to be a dad. I never identified as a man. None of that came natural. There used to be a television station on that was called Nick at Night. And it was the old 50s and 60s shows. And that's how I learned how to be a dad. So if Ward didn't, or if Beaver did something wrong and Ward had to correct, then that's what I knew to do. And that was the only way I knew how to do it. It didn't come natural. So with that being said, it was a very strained marriage. It was, there was a lot of internal struggle with myself. There was, I was an absentee father. It feels weird to stand up in front of a bunch of people and say, I'm a dad, I'm a father, because I definitely don't look like a father or a dad. But thankfully, my ex-wife and I figured out that it wasn't going to work when I came out to her. And not to horrify everybody, but what she told me when I first told her was, you should be taken out to the woods, tied to a tree, whipped, beat within an inch of your life, and then let the animals eat you. So, some love going on there. So, after that relationship ended, it was good for both of us, and it was especially better for the children. My kids are 23, soon to be 21 within a week, and going to be 13 next month. The older 2 didn't want anything to do with me, which is understandable. And it's 3 boys, by the way. My ex-wife's dad was military, staunch, hardcore, airborne ranger, man's man. So, as you can obviously tell, I did not measure up to his little girl. So it was a situation of the boys didn't like me either. It was, some of this is still a little painful, but I had the oldest 2 tell me, I'm kind of skipping a little bit, but I had the oldest 2 tell me that they hated him with a passion. And I could see it in their eyes that they were dead serious. It took the youngest one about 3 months, and he was 9 at the time. And after 3 months, he decided that he wanted to meet Kate. And that was a very odd thing. Imagine not seeing your child, especially your baby, for 3 months. Doesn't want to talk to you. Doesn't know how to talk to you. Doesn't even know what to call you. And we decided to go out for dinner. How strange is it to go on a date with a 9-year-old so they can ask you questions, so they can try to figure out who you are? Because for the first 9 years, who he knew was not me. So he decided that I was a much happier person. He decided that he liked a happy person. didn't want to be around a negative person. And in the process of him doing that and him wanting to start seeing me and come over to the house, he talked to his brothers. Well, eventually, they said, okay, well, we'll meet this person. But if it's anything like the old person, we're out, totally. So, fast forward a little bit, I have a relationship with my children now. They do not call me dad, they do not call me father. They call me aunt. It hurts a little. But it's still something there to show relationship. It's been hard, but we've actually had open lines of communication, and they got to know me. So that's just with the kids, and that's somebody that's supposed to love you unconditionally. So when I meet new people, the first things I notice is, am I standing up straight? As I stand up straighter now. Am I standing up straight? Am I projecting how I feel as a person inside? Are they seeing a woman, or are they seeing a man and a woman in a skirt? So I decided to wear a skirt today. Are they clocking, which is a term used by it's a term used by transgender people that non-trans people know. It's like, oh, I know that's a man. Or I have friends that are female to male, and well, that's not really a man. So we get clocked, and is my hands too big? Am I not standing the proper way? I've worked on my voice for years just to try to get it up, and that's a vocal training. There's no surgery that can do that. And as far as surgeries, those are expensive, and they're a little scary. So it's a struggle to just walk down the street. Sometimes there's a thing called body dysphoria, which in other words, when you look in the mirror, what looks back at you is not what you think. So if you go to the mirror and try to do your makeup, if you would imagine this man here looking back at you, and now you're going to try to put your makeup on. Sorry, I don't mean to pick on you. I have guys say, well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's because this is who I am. This is how I feel comfortable. I can stand up here in a skirt with a necklace, and I feel totally comfortable. This is how I should look. This is how I should feel. So it's not the clothing. Clothing doesn't make a difference. It's how you feel. And without going too far into this, everybody seems to think that who you're attracted to relates to gender. It does not. And the easiest, most simple way to imagine this is gender is who you go to bed as. Your sexual orientation is who you go to bed with. And those are two different things. They overlap quite a bit, but they are two separate things. So, that's a quick me in a nutshell. I obviously skipped a lot. I've had a real quick story Thursday was a friend of mine's 1-year anniversary on hormone therapy, and we went to a couple of clubs, a couple of bars, and I told her that I needed to use the restroom. Hot button topic, bathrooms. Do I look like I belong in a men's room? I mean, really? And if I do, please tell me, because I really need some help. But I was in the ladies' room, and girl walked out of the stall, and she saw me, and she literally ran out of the bathroom. I was washing my hands. I wasn't looking at her. The only reason I even saw her was because I was facing the mirror. So she ran out of the bathroom. I thought, oh boy, here we go. She ran up to, I guess, her boyfriend, fiance, husband, whoever it was, grabbed a bouncer on the way, grabbed about 3 of her friends, and started doing that. But look at over there. Thankfully, nobody came up to me. I was prepared, and this is the hardest part. I don't know if that bouncer was the one at the door that saw my ID. When I started, I told you that my legal name is Caitlin. It's been changed. So is my birth certificate and the gender marker on my license. Because there is nothing more interesting than handing a bouncer or handing anybody your identification looking like this, and it says male. That's an interesting, that's fun. Because then the questions start. It's like, well, this isn't you. So, but that's kind of some of the experiences. It's a situation of every morning when I wake up, I literally have to be prepared to die that day. And that sounds like a real hard thing, but it is so true. I was supposed to meet somebody yesterday. I told him I had a speaking engagement and that I was transgender. Yeah, he couldn't run fast enough. So that's the type of stuff. So everything you can imagine or think of, yeah, that's what happens. But if I missed anything, if there's any questions, I mean, I don't know, should I take questions or
Sure.
is that?
Yeah, use that a minute.
Okay.
I don't need this, I have this.
Oh, okay.
It takes a lot of courage to come to a group of people that you don't know and share, as Kate has done, and we really appreciate that. And I would like to open the floor, and Kate will take your questions, and over there.
You see, I have a daughter-in-law who teaches at Smith College, All Women's College, and it kind of I talked to her a good deal about some of these issues, because her main issue is the pronoun issue, women wanting to be called they rather than she, and this sort of thing, and how she's working through this as women are processing a lot of issues. And so I asked her about transgender. I said, "This is All Women's College. What's your policy on that?" She says, "Oh, they are actually considering that. And this is really my main point. What society is going through by way of consideration of these things." She said, I guess it's been how far along you are in the process, but they will accept transgender women at Smith College. So that's a new change, a great change.
Yeah, the laws and the rules are slower to catch up because you got to say the what if, and the women's only spaces is a situation of how safe does a woman feel? Well, when you're asking somebody that, if you want to be in a dorm or if you're sharing a dorm room, most men don't know how using bathrooms again. Most men have never been in a women's restroom. There's doors, there's stalls. It's not the urinal. And when you go to the restroom, it's private. In a dorm room, I don't know how that would work. I guess it would be up to, because if you're changing, it's a one big room. So it's, I guess it's going to be up to each individual person to decide. Just because my genital region doesn't match what you think it should be, does that make me any less of a woman? And that's where a lot of the laws are now.
Now, I want to ask you, did you hear Bob speak, does the person speaking need a mic? Or are you okay? Okay, we heard you. So if you can just speak out. that'd be
And
great.
I'll answer anything. It's truly nothing off limits.
I think I asked Kate a question about just attraction of transgender to transgender or transgender to non-transgender, and then how does that work? So I don't know if you could share.
Yeah, so let me give you a quick lesson in terminology. There's transgender and cisgender, and that's CIS. Cisgender is, I'm going to use Jennifer there. She is a cisgendered woman. She was born female, she identifies as female, and that's what we're talking about, just how you identify. I'm a transgender woman. I was assigned male at birth because a doctor looked between my legs and says, oh, you're a boy. So I would have no problem dating another transgender woman, because then that takes it off the table. It's like, okay, you're trans, I'm trans. Now let's actually deal with the relationship. When a trans person dates a cis woman, or cis person, excuse me, sorry, there's always that little thing going in the back of my mind. Are they with me because I'm different? Are they the biggest problem with the way most men see trans women is a fetish? They think, and I had somebody say this, that, well, you're a she-male, which is a pornography term, and that will send me into orbit. Calling me he sends me into orbit too, but about the same level. I said, define that term for me. Well, she looks like a woman, but she's a man. No, honey, no, that's not right. So the difference between on dating is, will I ever feel comfortable dating a cisgender person? I don't know. I hope to. I'm a lot more comfortable now than what I was when I first started. But for the first year of my transition, I didn't date anybody. I put myself into a self-seclusion just so I didn't have to deal with that, because I didn't know how to deal with it yet. So I don't know if that answered everything, but anybody? Yeah?
Did you ever share with your parents your feelings as a child?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Did you ever share with your parents your feelings as a child?
I was born in 73. 75, I think you had Denise Richards, the tennis player. And I didn't know the words. I had no idea. Transgender is actually a fairly new term. It's called transsexualism, and that's the technical term. That's what's listed in the DSM, which is the what shrinks say you're crazy with. So technically, I have a psychological disorder. Thankfully, in 2018, the new DSM comes out. That's being removed. So now I don't have a psychological disorder. It's amazing. I tried, but maybe I didn't try hard enough. I was suicidal my entire life. Quick statistic is between 40 and 60% of transgender people will attempt suicide. About 40% succeed, which is just an astounding number. They will, at some point, if they don't get help, it will happen. That's I think upwards of 10 times higher than the national average. But then how much of that national average is kids, and this is youth, mainly youth, because their first bully is their parents. No, you can't be that way. No, you're a boy, deal with it. Or my favorite, grow a set of fill in the blank. Yeah, it's I played with dolls. I played with my sister's dolls, played house. But I did like to play with my trucks too. I like playing with trucks so much, I actually transitioned on the job working for a towing company that drives large trucks. And I mean the ones that tow the semis. So I still like playing with trucks. I just like painting my nails too. But my mom now, my father, I have no idea. I met him twice when I was 13. My mother is, she says that this actually answers a lot of questions that she didn't realize she had. But again, I didn't know the terminology. I couldn't say, Mom, I'm a transsexual. She would have probably fell over. And in the 70s and 80s, that could have gotten me institutionalized very easily. It's just now, the 90s, and even in the 90s, it was pretty iffy. Everybody asked me if I have a regret. Yeah, I wish I could have done this sooner. But I probably wouldn't be standing here because I'd probably be dead due to violence. 2016 was the worst year for trans women. It's the highest murder rate, bar none, in 2016. So,
What was your first round of help to become who you were meant to be, Kate?
I was sitting in my apartment, and I never kept a gun because I knew what it could do. I always made sure to stay away from stuff that I knew would kill me. I already had the plan. I knew exactly where it was going to happen. Like I said, I drove a truck. Anybody that's fairly familiar with the Chicago area, Interstate 80, there's a gigantic open pit. I know exactly where to hit that Jersey barrier, that wall, to go 300 feet down. I've been in that pit. I've studied it. I did the math. I did the trajectory. I know at about 55 miles an hour, which was the speed limit, I'd bust through that wall. I know at 65, I could make it over the first lip and go all the way down to the bottom. I got to the point to where I was like, I think I want to live. Hence the word I think I want to live. I got online and I sent a message. I typed in, I Googled it, gender therapist. After Googling that, I seen somebody that was here in town, and I knew I didn't want to see a man because women are more understanding and I could identify more. I sent her a message on like 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Sent an email on a Saturday. I got an email back on Sunday. That blew me away. That was like, okay, somebody's telling me I need to deal with this. And I started there. I've been seeing her for about 4 years. As a matter of fact, we did a how do you feel now as opposed to how you were when you came in. And it was, when I first went, I was male presenting. In other words, I dressed as a male. And she said, what would you like to be called? And with tears streaming down my face, I said, well, I think I'm crazy, but I really want to be called Kate. So that's where it started. And I was with her for about a year before I started what's called HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. And hormones develop the secondary sex characteristics, weight distribution, breasts, softer skin, hair, all the lovely stuff that y'all take for granted. Yeah, I got to work on that. So, did that answer? Yes. Nothing? Really? Really? Okay.
So you are part of kind of community. We had a friend who left here because she felt that she couldn't find people like her.
It's difficult. There's what they call stealth, which is, had I not come up here and blabbed my T to everybody, T being short for trans, which is short for transgender, so there's all sorts of little terms. Had I not blabbed that to everybody, I would like to think you would have never known. And had I not been asked to do this, I wouldn't have told you. Because you'll look at me, and then you'll look down. Say, is it there? Well, that's my business. But what's really interesting is most people, that's the first thing they ask you. So let me turn this question back to you. Would you walk up to this woman, say, oh, I love your dog. By the way, what genitals do you have? It's just not a polite thing to do. But yet people feel obligated to ask a transgender person, whether it's a trans male or a trans female, what genitals do you have? It's like, why? Are we going to sleep together? So it's difficult in that sense. Man, I lost the statistic. I swear I studied. I promise I did. It is difficult. On my Facebook page, I have about 1,400 friends that I talk to maybe half to 3/4. 75-85% are trans people. And that's just because I'm at an age to where I actually want to do this. I want to tell my story. I want people to start accepting the trans community, to make it easier to be in the community. And it kind of goes back to the bathroom thing. If you say that I'm denied to use the women's room, then that's a basic human right. It's a human dignity, and that's saying that you can't be here, you shouldn't exist. And that's the hardest thing, is when you have people say you can't exist, or you should not exist. Well, I do. Because I sure didn't ask to be this way. So, yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.
Appreciate your openness.